Doctor, is my voice audible to you and the screen clear so that we can move ahead? Great. So we were discussing the things which basically were in or are in demand in the year 2026, and we need a research that is more catchy, and in various conferences or wherever you go and present your research, that brings you good laurels, like the presentation that you put forward, the idea that you put forward, that brings laurels to you, the awards that you can get from them. So that's why we are planning a research that is both presentable in the latest advancements like AI that has been incorporated, or something that is child friendly, you can say. Basically, what can be we say with the child friendly approach is that the color coded things that we were discussing in anything, in any clinical trials, that you can incorporate color coding that is child friendly. Second, this child friendly workflow. The other thing can be, it should be sensory friendly also, that is, it is not invasive, we can say. The approach, these two type of workflows are highly demanding, and they would catch the attention of the jury, or the professors there, and it would definitely be beneficial to you. And the third thing is, these type of study would be simpler for you to do, as they would be non-invasive also, and we are getting into the current scenarios of 2026 and the child-friendly approach. By this we are planning the research, since we are more interested in the clinical trials and also the surveys can be incorporated in these type of trials. So two-way studies can be conducted. Now when we talk about the topic that we selected, so what we are doing is, basically we are comparing the traditional SDF, or the silver diamond fluoride, which is colorless and which makes it difficult to see during application, and by this we can have an accidental staining of healthy tissues. Example, skin, you can say. And this accidental staining is normally referred to as the henna tattoo effect. So to avoid this, what we are planning is, this was the traditional approach, the traditional SDF. What we plan to do, there are availability of various SDF which I could find out, that the colored SDF. And when we are talking about the colored SDF, usually what we see is the blue tinted one. Okay, and this is designed to increase ease of application, providing visual contrast. Since it is colored, so you can easily demarcate from the other oral tissues that are there. Again, the third thing about this colored SDF would be it would reduce. I would just focus it so that now it is in focus. So it will reduce the clinical stress also. Clinical stress of the doctor, I am saying that when you are able to visualize something, even in the endodontics, when you are able to visualize something, you are able to treat that thing better. Okay, so when you are doing the same thing with the colorless SDF, you are not able to visualize that SDF or demarcate it from saliva. So that is increasing your stress, whether you have applied it, whether it was on the applicator tip. So that stress level is reduced in this case. And the fourth factor is the child anxiety is definitely reduced. You are something introducing the child a color thing, the child friendly approach which we want in the the future research that focuses on the child friendly approach. So that thing is also incorporated. This is reducing the anxiety of the child, which we are concerned mainly. So this is what we were planning till today. So what could be our study overview? And when we talk about the study overview, it would be let us talk about the design of the study. It would be parallel group RCT. That would be two groups would be formed. Both would run parallelly, one with the traditional SDF and the other with the tinted SDF. Now, considering the target population, this is the study overview which we plan. And the easiest approach that I could plan for you, target population. And when we talk about the target population, like the children with the age range of like 3 to 6, and they should also have the active cavitated carious lesions. So over here you have to see for the active cavitated carious lesions. That is, there should be a, if this is suppose you are considering molar tooth, there should be a some occlusal caries or whatever you can define, that would be a cavity where the caries is still in a progressive stage and is not being arrested or being in the follow-up phase. So that should be your primary target that you should be able to have in the target population, the design that you should be considering. Now the objective that you need to determine why you are or what are your concerns regarding this study. So what you are evaluating basically, it is to determine if the visual contrast provided by colored SDF reduces application time. So this is your first objective. Okay, so we generally look for 2 to 3 objectives. So first objective is we are determining whether the visual contrast by the colored SDF reduces the application time. Our second objective could be, can it increase or improve clinical accuracy? As we are applying on the cavitated lesion, the blue one we would be able to see it, but the others we won't be able to see, or the traditional we won't be able to see. So there would be clinical accuracy over here. The third objective could be, does it reduces the child's procedural anxiety? So this could be your third objective that you need to compare with the traditional SDF. Okay. So based on this, what could be our methodology? We are going very in a simple way for this study, and it would be very simple to incorporate also methodology. So when we talk about the methodology and the interventions, so basically we are dividing this study into groups, the parallel groups. One would be the, just let me focus it, one would be the control group, and the second would be the experimental group. In the control group, we are using that traditional 38% colorless SDF. Example, any SDF that you can include. For example, the Fegmin SDF, which is colorless. Over here in the experimental group, you can switch to the colored SDF, which is mostly tinted blue. Example, Silver Sense, it comes like that, or Riva Star also manufactures that, which I came across, which has an aqua blue color. So this one. Now what could be, these are the two things. Now what could be the application protocol? The application protocol would be for both the groups. One would be isolation. With the help of cotton rolls, you can use, no need for any rubber dam or anything like that, because this is a non-invasive and no carious infiltration would take, or the microbial infiltration can occur, so no need for any rubber dam isolation. Isolation with the help of cotton rolls would be sufficient, and high volume section also you can use. Then the protection for the other soft tissues, you can use a petroleum jelly so that there is no staining for the adjacent tissues. The third thing, the application. So a micro brush we are going to use, and this micro brush would be dipped in 1 drop of SDF. So 1 single drop of SDF. This would be your standardized. You will take a 1 drop of SDF, and then it would be applied for 60 seconds on the tooth surface, on the cavitated lesion in fact. And after the completion, so we would write the completion. So after the completion, what would happen is the excess liquid can be blotted with cotton pellet. So this is your application procedure or the application protocol that you are going to follow. Now after this, what you are evaluating, this is also important. Okay, so what you are evaluating over here, we are considering the evaluation parameters. So when we talk about the evaluation parameters, we are first evaluating the anxiety reduction, and for the anxiety reduction we are evaluating two things now. One is the subjective anxiety, and the second thing is the physiological stress. So this is the subjective anxiety that we can consider with the method we were discussing since long, the Wong, Baker's, faces scale, and child selects both faces before the procedure and after the procedure, so pre and post. And the second is the physiological stress that you can measure with the help of pulse oximeter, and the heart rate, its variability during the moment of application. When you are applying it, at that time how the child's heart rate behaves in the pulse oximeter, the variability, moment of application, we can say moment of application, that you can measure with the pulse oximeter. This would evaluate the physiological stress. Second parameter that you can consider is ease of application, and by saying the ease of application we are testing the clinician's precision, that is the clinician's precision. So we are over here evaluating this with the help of visual analog scale for clinician, where a scale of 0 to 10, the dentist rates the ease of visibility. Two things: one is the ease of visibility, and second thing is the control of flow. How the that microbush application you are able to visualize in the cavitated lesion, and how it flows, that also you are able to see. And the clinician's precision, and the second thing, the accidental staining. This also, the accidental staining, the presence or absence of accidental soft tissue staining, this can be evaluated 24 hours. So over here you are not light curing the SDF. If you need to evaluate it at the same moment of time, you can light cure it, otherwise just let it set for the 24 hours, and the staining that you see, if that staining is present or absent, that accidental staining on the adjacent tissues, the soft tissues in particular, or the adjacent tooth in particular, that would be evaluated 24 hours after. If not, you don't want to prolong it for 24 hours, you can just light cure it and then evaluate it. And the other thing, the other parameter is the application time. And by the application time, we mean to say how we are going to measure. Stopwatch we can use, and measure the time from dipping the brush or brush dipping into that one drop of SDF to final blot. This is your time frame period where you would evaluate the application time. So as we are discussing the 2026 research flow, so basically we are evaluating the pre-visit anxiety baseline, that is the child is shown the faces scale and that emotions are being recorded. Then second thing is the randomization. A third part, I would write it down, the randomization. It is the third party or the anyone that you assign anonymous, that would assign the child for traditional or the colored group. Even you can use the software for assigning that child which would receive the colored SDF or the traditional SDF. The third thing is the procedure in which the colored group, the dentist is able to see the exact margins of cavity, that is preventing any overflow onto gingiva, because sometimes when we are applying the colored SDF, that SDF also stains the gingiva that is supporting the tooth. So we are evaluating this in the procedure itself, Okay, in the traditional group, the colorless nature may lead to the dentist for use more liquid, as we are not able to visually see. So we can take one drop and microbrush and apply it, and if we may see that it has dried up, we may apply it again, because we are not able to see whether the liquid is there or not, it is covered or increasing. So this would, what would it increase is, it would increase the risk of spillover. So over usage might be there, and that is being reduced with the colored SDF. The fourth thing is the behavior observation. So a second observer records the child behavior, and we can use the method of Frankel's behavior rating scale from definitely negative to definitely positive. That is from the scale of 1 to 4. With the Frankel's behavior rating scale, we could measure the behavior of the child, how this behavior occurred. The fifth thing would be that post procedural assessment. And by this we mean the child, for the child, it re-evaluates their anxiety on the FACES scale, and for the clinician records the ease of use score. So these two things is the post procedural assessment. Now when we talk about this, so coming to the statistical analysis, basically our hypothesis was whether this colored SDF, that we presume that colored SDF will show significantly ease of use. Why we think of the colored SDF is because it's ease of use and less procedure time. So these two things are our main focus, and other than this was the anxiety and all those things. So the test that we could be using these was to have a paired t-test. The paired t-test, or it would be like the independent t-test, where we can compare the mean heart rate between the application time of the groups. Of the individual child. The second test that we could perform for this is the Mann-Whitney's test, Mann-Whitney's U test, where we could compare the ordinal data from FACES and Frankel behavior scales. So these two things that would be compared with this and would find out the significance of our study. So that the difficulty that the issues that might be there is the parental acceptance, that you need to obtain the consent acceptance factor, because you are using the colored SGF. That is a good thing, but the anxiety is reduced, but staining would be there. The color from the blue to black would be there, so that you need to explain to the patients that ultimately the color would be black. Second thing is incorporate the digital integration, like I would always say high definition intraoral camera should be there, so that you get a good quality images, and all those things must be considered. So these are the things for your easy workflow that you can consider. So hope you were able to understand this simple, basic, non-invasive clinical trial that can be done, and these two things, the parental acceptance can be easily obtained because we need to apply as a SGF, and digital incorporation can be easily taken up as it demands in the year 2026. Otherwise the flow, the things would be easier to incorporate. Hope you were able to understand. Let's meet on Zoom and discuss the things further. Bye bye.